Hello everybody, welcome to the Java course. For exception handling, people would like to use 3 steps normally, which is known as the try, catch, finally approach. This is the topic I'm going to show you in the video. Okay, what does it mean by that? The finally keyword here means that no matter the exception occurs or not, the part contained in the finally block will still be executed. So I'm going to show you an example to see the effect of using all these 3 blocks. Now I want to create an array of 5 elements, and all of the elements are integer primitives. Okay, I just want to put the index value to my array contents. Okay. Here I want to accept the user input to show the number stored in a particular index of the array. In doing so, I have to import the scanner object first. Okay, and then I can give a prompt. And I want to store the value obtained from the user input by using an integer primitive called a. And when I want to obtain the number can be a value that is larger than the maximum index allowed for my array object. So it is possible for us to do the try block in order to check whether the value obtained by the user input will give me an index that is not allowed. Okay, I would like to check whether the value of a obtained by the user input will be larger than the maximum index allowed. Of course, I can also print out the corresponding element value of the array, okay. But we have to notice that the array element might not be able to do the printing because it is the value of a will be outside the maximum allowed index for the array object. Okay, so for the possible exception, I need to handle it. How can I handle it? I can create a catch block. I expect an array index out of bound exceptions would occur. So I can put the exception class in the catch command, and the object thrown by the try block is having a reference variable called ex. And since this exception is built in the Java program, I can import it first. Okay, I have imported the array index out of bounds exception class. So here, this built-in class is able to be used by me. And if this exception happens, what will I do? I will give a prompt that the number from the user input exceeds the array length. I can print out the exception object thrown by the try block. I can also tell the user to try again next time. And whether or not the exception happens, I can still tell the program to do something for me. How can I do that? I can make use of the finally block. In addition to print out the statement shown here, I also want to close the scanner object, whether or not the exception called array index out of bounds exception is caught or not. Okay, so what does it mean by the finally component here? So the finally part must be executed no matter the catch action is performed or not. And after the finally block, I can continue my code. Okay, I can show the user that you either entered a valid input or the program can catch the exception right. Okay, so I can try to run it to see the effect. Oh, here I have to put integer array instead of integer only. So by using the pair of square brackets, I'm able to create the array object instead of an integer primitive only. So let me save it and run it. I already know that my array has only 5 elements. If I want to get the content inside the array, I can only input 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I say here I put 2. I entered 2, so I will go to this part. And the array element is this one. which is simply the content in the array element. And after this try block, I don't create any kind of runtime error. So I will go to the finally part. This is the part whether the catch action is performed or not. And after the finally part, I'm able to continue the rest of my program. That means the exception, if any, can be handled gracefully. In this case, the exception does not happen, so I'm able to continue my remaining part of the driver program. Okay, and of course, after the finally part, the scan object can be closed. So let me try another the situation that would go to the catch block. I say 8, which is out of bounds of my array. Okay, I can still print out the number because this part is not the place that I'm going to be aware of. Okay, but when I go to this line, the array element cannot be printed because it is already out of bounds. So in this case, this statement cannot be performed. Instead, I will go to the catch block to do the action stated in this block. I will say that the number exceeds the array length. I'm also able to print out the array index out of bounds exception object. The content is just this line. It tells me the type of exceptions, and I'm also able to see that my value is already beyond the largest possible value for my array. Okay, and I can see this statement by telling me to try again next time. And after the catch action, I'm able to do the finally part, which is this one. So I'm able to see this statement together with the closure of my scan object. And after the exception is handled gracefully, I can continue my remaining part of my driver program. Okay. People might ask something. Can I close the scan object here? Instead of closing it here? And the answer is no. Why? The reason is that if the exception cannot be caught correctly, this object, the scan object cannot be closed. That means if this catch action is not performed correctly, I cannot even go to the part here. Okay, the scan object cannot be closed here if the exception cannot be caught right. So for that situation, I cannot even reach this line after the catch block and the finally block. In this case, in order for me to make sure that the object can be closed gracefully, I need to do so in the finally block. If I want to do it outside the finally block, the close action might not be allowed if the runtime error occurs. What does it mean by that? We can see an example by assuming that I want to close the scan object in the remaining part of my code that is outside the try catch finally blocks. Let me save it and run it. And don't enter a number for this time. I enter a string. Why I can input a string? Because the nextInt method has no way to restrict the user input data types. So it is for the program to handle the possible runtime errors received from the nextInt method. Okay. When I press enter, okay, you can see that I will throw another exception, which is called input mismatch exception. And we can see that this input mismatch exception is not really handled in the driver program. My driver program is only able to handle the array index out of bounds exception. So in this case, the input mismatch exception cannot be caught right. So in this case, the program is not able to do the catch part, but it can go to the finally part. But if I close the scan object here instead of inside the finally block, you see I cannot do the printing statement after the finally block. That means my program now is not able to reach the closing statement of my scan object. So this is the explanation of my statement, my comment here. So if we really want to close the scan object, we have to close it in the finally block. Otherwise, if we experience some kind of exception that is not handled in the catch part, it is possible that we can never have a chance to close the scan object. And then if we want to see the array index out of bounds exception, we can check it on the web. Okay, we can go to the version 11 API specification of docs.oracle.com. When I go to the search box, I can type exception. You can see that there are a lot of exceptions provided by Java. And how about the array index out of bounds exception? Let me check. Which is this one. Okay. So I can see that I need java.lang.array index out of bounds exception as the class to be imported. That means I have to type the class correctly here. So this ends the try catch finally blocks. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, feel free to leave your comments on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.